What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Welcome back to 10 Minute Mailbag. What if I told you I had the solutions to life's problems? At least I do for MLB The Show. I think. Maybe. YouTube, how are you? If you are new to the channel, my name is Kenny, aka kdjTV. I post MLB The Show content Monday through Thursday. And in every Monday video, I answer your YouTube questions in a little more depth than what I can give in a simple response on the old keyboard. The goal of this series is to start conversations, answer your questions, and of course, spread the knowledge. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Alright, you guys know how it works at this point. 10 minutes are on the clock. I had to get my phone ready, so now 10 minutes are on the clock. Had to take a little jump cut there. And we'll get into it, alright? As always, if you guys have anything to say about any of these questions we're talking about, respond to them down below, but also, leave your questions. This series cannot happen without you. And subscribe while you're here, of course. That goes without saying. Alright, so in 3, 2, 1, let's get it popping. First question, Vinny Reed. What's going on, Vinny? Do you think sets and seasons is still a good idea? Locking up half the inventory through the year and restarting at low 90s to 99s throughout the sets has driven many people away, myself included. Yes, I think sets and seasons can work. I have confidence, shockingly, that sets and seasons can work. Did sets and seasons deliver this year? Not really. I think sets are too long. Or seasons are too long, or both, whatever. I think content decisions this year were not stellar. Of course, it's the first year of a brand new idea. That is, let's be honest with ourselves, a pretty revolutionary, inventive, ballsy new content idea. SDS didn't have to try and go out on a limb and recreate how the game works, but they thought the game needed a shakeup, so they tried it. So, respect. But yes, I think it missed the mark in a lot of ways this year. To me, cards that I grind for that get phased out, that doesn't bother me. I've said that a lot. I'll continue to say it. I don't mind being forced to use new cards. I think it's more fun to use new cards, if I'm being honest. But I think we can make sets and seasons work with a couple of changes. First things first, shorten the seasons and sets, like I said. Further mix up teams. We were using set 3 and set 4 cards for like forever, it felt like. All those All-Star cards were in our lineup since the All-Star game in July. And they just got phased out November 3rd. That's a long time. It's a very, very long time. So I think changing that would help a significant amount. But if SDS is committed to 6 sets and 6 seasons, here's what we can do to fix it. First, we need a new, larger legend pool. This game needs more legends. It needs more content options. Excuse me, I just burped in my mouth a little bit. You might have heard it, sorry. This alleviates a lot of the problems of duplicate players, because we have more options to choose from. The second thing, which it's not controversial, might be a little bit of a hot take, you guys might not agree with this. I think each set should alternate between a focus on legends and current players. We start set 1 with a bang with live series stuff. Or current day player stuff. Because the baseball season's starting, we're getting excited for it. Set 2, we pivot. We're going to legends. It's going to be a legend-heavy season. Make us use legends. Then bang, set 3, All-Star Game content. We're back with mostly flashbacks of current players. Of course, we can mix in retro All-Stars as well, but let's be careful with that. Why? Because set 4, boom, retro finest. And retro postseason. Set 5, we finish up the current postseason with live series players, or current players, and finest. Set 6, open for everything. I think pivots need to be made to emphasize the legends they're paying for. I think a lot of the time this year, legends were completely overshadowed by beefed up versions of current players. And while I'm okay with beefy current players, let's incorporate legends. I think if they did a better job of spacing things out and planning things, we would have fewer duplicate cards. It would not be so frustrating for people to grind for stuff and then lose it. I think overall sets and seasons is better. Let me know what you guys think about that. We spent a lot of time on Vinny's question. Moving on. Vinny, great question. From BB Nitro. Is it time to have boosts, captains, parallels, etc. go beyond the current max attributes of 195 and in some cases 99? I'm going to say no to that, but I'm going to kind of agree with you in that we've started to lose the differences and uniqueness in players. I think what SDS needs to do is keep the current max attribute numbers they have, but scale things better. Truly make players look like how they play in the game. Keep 125 contact for your Tony Gwynns of the world and Luis Ariz. Keep your 125 powers for Giancarlo Stanton and Aaron Judge and players like that. Pete Alonso. Keep your 99 arm strength for Mookie Betts and Nolan Jones and you know, scale back the other guys. I think if we get more realistic scaling, I'm not saying to nerf everybody. There's a difference between scaling and nerfing. Nerfing means intentionally making a card worse so people stop using it as much, whereas scaling just balances the playing field entirely. I know this is a fantasy game, and attributes don't actually matter. But if you're looking for a semblance of realism, I think that's why the live series cards are actually balanced great. Of course, they're built like shit because they're live series cards, but they're actually scaled the way they should be. So if you just take that scaling and amp it up a little bit for these beefy 99s, now it starts to make more sense. So instead of going beyond the max attributes, I think we just scale better. And I think that's fair. Nitro, thank you for your question. Moving on to Go Pack Go. Is it a good thing the super powerful cards are free? This comes from a conversation we had in my Twitch chat, twitch.tv/kdjTV, of course. Please make sure you follow me there. We were talking about how 4070 milestone card, holy shit, by the way, Ronald Acuna is free in the XP reward path. You could also extend this to John Donaldson being free, etc. I am normally okay with the best cards requiring something. A grind, a challenge, being locked behind Battle Royale World Series, even chase packs. That's going to upset people. I am okay with chase packs. I just wish we knew what the odds were. That's my concession there. But I am okay with Ronald Acuna 4070 milestone card being free for this reason. It's November. SDS needs people to come back to this game. It's been pretty dead silent for several months. And I think SDS nailed bringing players back to the game with this content drop. A free, nasty Ronald Acuna. Finest cards that every year are out of this world. They mostly capitalized on that. I can tell you for a fact that more players have come back to the game because my theory is that all the event games that I've played with people using live series diamonds and core captains is because they took a couple seasons off and they don't have cards to populate their lineup yet, so they're using those cards. In my opinion, I don't think I've played entirely shitters in the event. In my opinion, that is proof. Picture-perfect proof. The 3 Ps. Picture-perfect proof. Of players who took some time away, saw the finest content drop, and said, oh crap, this looks fun, I'm in. If they stay in, I don't know how long they're going to stay. But for now, they're in. Early in the year, when the player base is high, yes, we want to keep some exclusivity on some cards. I'm not saying gatekeep. I think every card should be available to everybody in some form or fashion. But it's okay to make them a little harder to get. This Acuna being free does not bother me. John Donaldson being free was a silly-willy decision. I don't know if SDS realized that he would dominate the meta. Back then, that was a little different. But right now, Acuna being free, I'm all for it. Pac, I hope that answered your question. I appreciate you. Lastly, from Scotty, do you think community campaigns for certain players, either directly to SDS, to their families, or both, could be a way to get different legends into the game, maybe at a better price, too? I think yes. I mean, look what happened with Dontrelle Willis. Dontrelle Willis was open on Twitter for years, like, hey, why aren't I in MLB The Show? And we were all like, hey, we'd love Dontrelle Willis in the show. And then, hey, there he was, eventually, in the show. Ryan Howard, I believe, his son or his nephew or something was like super hyped that Ryan Howard was in the show. I think if we start doing a little community push, we can make it happen. You know, for years, people were talking about getting the Negro League players into the game, and eventually they got their way there. I don't know if that was because of us, the people, or if that was just already a plan in place. But I do believe campaigning in that way can make things work. I think SDS does listen to the community. It might take them a little while to actually enact the change that they're listening to, but there's probably a lot of red tape and stuff that goes along at a company like Sony. So yes, I think, like, my big push this year is to get Nomar Garciaparra and A-Rod in the game, because I want to have the trio of 90s, early 2000s shortstops, which I've been pushing for forever. Let's start campaigning for Nomar Garciaparra and A-Rod. A-Rod is probably harder to get, but let's start campaigning. Let's make it happen, because I want them in the game, and I think it'll be fun, and I'm clearly past my timer now, so I'm going to stop talking. So what do you guys think of what we talked about today? Fun topics to talk about, as always. Please, 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 please respond. Let's start a conversation, but also leave your questions down below. I cannot make this series without them, and that would be big sad. Thank you guys for being here. Go crush it this week. It is another week. We're almost at Thanksgiving, a nice little break, and we can all rest and play MLB The Show some more, I guess. So thank you guys. Love you guys. See you next time.